Welcome to the Rondo. We're back again for a little bit of a different episode since it's been international football. As you can imagine, we're not talking about international football here because nobody's interested in international football unless it's a major tournament. Only got two man in the studio today, so it's your boy AA hosting, and it's my guy
Blackbeard. Obviously, I've seen the comments. I've seen the comments.
A man said Blackbeard, you know.
I like the name still. It's a good name. It's sticking.
Cool. So there you go. So yeah, on today's podcast, we're going to start off. We're going to go through top 5 wingers in Premier League history. You know, kind of since the David Beckham documentary and Hazard retiring, we thought it would be good to, you know, have a reflection on the best wingers that we've ever had in the Premier League. And then we're going to do, because obviously, you know, on the Rondo, you know, after being positive, we have to be a little bit negative as well. You know, we got to balance out. We're going to do like top 5 worst players to ever play in the Premier League. So that can be, and there's like a little bit of a criteria for that, which we'll get to when we get to it. And then we're just going to do straight rondos, 30 minutes of straight rondos, bar for bar. Me and Rahimi, aka Blackbeard, are just going to go in, just doing rondo after rondo and see where we go. Okay, so cool. Let's start off with it. So top 5 wingers in Premier League history. So I've got a few here that I'll run through just to kind of get the minds going on who we might want to include. So I made a little list on the way here. So I've got Ronaldo, Bale, Hazard, Salah, Perez, Sanchez, Willian, Sterling, Sane, and Beckham, and Sadio Mane. So that's a little list that I've got. Okay. Rahimi, you told me that you've already got a list that you've cooked up. So why don't you tell us what your thoughts are?
Yeah, I do. I have a top 5 already.
Okay, nice.
At number 5, this is going to be a one that is probably heavily contested and debated. But at number 5 for me is Salah. Of Premier League wingers.
He comes in at 5th.
Obviously, personal preference comes into account when I'm doing this as well. But Salah, obviously, you can't deny his numbers now. He's done it consistently for 4 or 5 years now. World class output. I just feel like the 4 above offer more for the team, but also the system that they were playing at the time. Those players were more integral than Salah is for Liverpool. And although Salah gets most of the goals, I do think the 4 above him are just a bit more integral in that.
Okay, I'll be interested to hear who the 4 are.
Yeah, so number 4, funnily enough, his partner in crime for Liverpool's glory years, Sadio Mane. He's number 4 for me.
Okay.
So I think from a talent perspective, both Salah and Mane are very equal, like in terms of their footballing ability. Obviously, Salah, the system was built around Salah scoring. Obviously, Trent getting the assist and Salah scoring. But I feel like Mane was more integral to that system. And we saw that when Mane left for a period, Liverpool, not only the output and the style of play, but everything went down and decreased for us momentarily.
Well, don't you think that's because the midfield kind of fell off a cliff as well?
That's part of it. But I feel like everything good that Mane did, people only notice stuff when it's gone. Is basically my argument.
Okay.
So whilst Mane was still at the club performing on a weekly basis, he's the one that initiated the press. He did most of the work.
His counter pressing was crazy. Yeah.
He did most of the work that other players are not willing to do, whilst also having the quality at the end of it as well. And I saw a statistic the other day about Sadio Mane. He always scored either the first goal for Liverpool to go ahead or the goal to equalise. Whereas Salah, most of the time, he's scoring the goals that are putting the game to bed. But when you need an important goal, it was normally Mane that was getting that important goal to either equalise or to go one ahead in those games.
Okay, but don't you think that we haven't seen Liverpool without Salah? So don't you think that there could also be an impact there?
I think equally, when Salah has left to Liverpool, you'll see like a massive drop-off, but that will be mainly because of his goals and assists. I'm saying the way that the team was working and the way that the team was performing with Mane in the team, I just think it was better when he was there. And now that when he left for, well, I'd say for the first few months after he left, I think Liverpool struggled in terms of regaining their style of play and what they were doing before that. And obviously, Klopp is just an excellent manager, so he's found a way to...
Okay, so you think Mane's all-round game...
is better than Salah's?
Is better than Salah's, and that's why you think
that's why I put him...
He's kind of put him ahead.
But
even though Salah gets more goals and assists.
Yeah, that's a personal preference.
But we just think the all-round game just takes Mane ahead.
Yeah. That's a personal preference for me, though.
Perhaps maybe for a season or two, but I think overall, it has to be Salah, but go on. Go on.
Number 3 for me is Hazard. Hazard is one of the best players I've seen in the league.
Okay.
And this it's not even a statistic from a statistics perspective, because not everything is always about stats. Just watching the player and the joy and what he's doing on the pitch, that is God-given talent.
Okay.
Not a lot of other players in the world can do what he was doing. His low centre of gravity, the way he would move past players so seamlessly, creating and scoring as well. and even though I said it's not about stats, which it definitely isn't. He has the most man of the his statistics for man of the match performances are outrageous, and that is without him necessarily getting the goals and assists that other players are getting. We talk about players that will play badly for a whole game. Jalen will know. Rashford, he'll play badly a whole game and then get a goal and assist, and then that sort of masks the performance.
Yeah,
Hazard was playing well throughout all those games.
Yeah,
whilst he was in the Premier League, not necessarily getting the goals and assists, but just from your eyes alone, you already know what kind of player he is. And I think, in terms of wingers in the league, he's top 3 for me. Number 2, going into number 2, Gareth Bale.
Okay, you got Bale too. Okay,
yeah, Bale is number 2 for me. I didn't include, before all these Arsenal fans get onto me, I didn't include Henry on this list because I know he loved that left inside channel.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't call him a winger.
In the Premier, he was a striker.
Yeah, he was more of a striker to me than a winger. But Bale, I think Bale had arguably the most unstoppable season of a Premier League player ever.
Okay. Oh, that's
a statement. Yeah, that's a crazy statement. But I honestly believe he was unstoppable. There was nothing you could do. There was nothing any defender or player could do in the league to stop him. The year before he left for Madrid, I've never seen a season like that. Maybe Luis Suarez, in terms of how unstoppable they are. But
yeah,
Gareth Bale, and I think Gareth Bale...
It was that level of like, wow, like this is a player that, just seems absolutely unstoppable.
There was nothing you could do against Bale to stop him from getting his shot off and from scoring.
Okay.
One of my favourite players ever, Rio Ferdinand, I saw Bale absolutely...
Well, he retired him, isn't
it? Bale basically retired. Like, that's one of my favourite players ever. One of the best centre-backs in the Premier League era ever.
Yeah.
And Bale ran across him in a straight line.
Bale took him to the cleaners. But Ferdinand wasn't... he wasn't.
Yeah, he wasn't in his prime.
He wasn't anywhere near his prime. Yeah. So,
but still, like that was to me like.
So Bale deserve mad credit for it then.
I think, but it's not just that. That's just one. That's just one example. But I think Bale still holds the record for the most points accumulated by a player in an individual season for his team. Still, so he still holds that record for single-handedly getting points for his team in that Tottenham team. It wasn't necessarily the best. It wasn't anything special, and it was his progression from left back to left mid, then he became a proper winger, and then it's like everything just clicked. It's just, I think Gareth Bale is one of the greatest players of all time. I think he gets really disrespected, but he's my number 2.
Yes.
And then number 1 is
CR7. I'm guessing.
Cristiano Ronaldo. The greatest individual season of any player, not even just wingers. I think of any player in the Premier League.
Oh, okay.
I think 42 goals, all competitions.
31 goals in the league.
Yep, 31 goals in the league.
He broke the record as well.
Broke the record at the time.
And you think about the all-round play.
Honestly, we look at players now, it's why especially United fans, we have such high criticisms of our wingers. When you look back at the wingers that we used to have, how direct they were, Giggs and Ronaldo. We had Giggs and Ronaldo for years, and then after that, sort of our backups were Nani, Valencia. Like we always had wingers that were incredibly direct and skillful.
Very direct. Beat their fullback, right?
They beat their fullback like consistently, and that's what. Whenever Ronaldo used to get the ball, I used to know he's gonna make something happen. The goal against Porto is the one that sticks out to me. I remember I was a kid. I was a kid then.
Yeah,
I've never seen anything like it. He just took the ball and from 40 yards, he just slapped the ball, and it stayed the same level, the same height, and just arrowed into the corner.
Yeah, it was a mad strike. I can't lie. Yeah, I think it won the Puskas Awards.
Yeah, it did. Like honestly, that year, I'd say I think it was 2007-8 when we won the Champions League and the Premier League double.
Oh, he was moving mad.
I think it's the best individual season. I think he won his first Ballon d'Or. That was his first Ballon d'Or winning season. And that's the greatest individual season that I've seen from a player.
Fairs. I think I've got the same top 5. I'm just gonna check.
That's good to know. You know ball, bro.
Yeah, I've got the same top 5 as you, as you know. So
it's just a different order, innit?
Yeah, it's a different order. So I'll go from number 5. So number 5, I'm going Sadio Mane. I think I don't need to go into too much detail about why Sadio Mane comes in at number 5, but like won the Premier League, won the Champions League, was I think an absolute, phenomenon in our league. Like I've never seen a player able to play with such intensity and just also like swiftness and decisiveness at the same time as well. So definitely a number 5, got the golden boot, was always giving his fullback a tough time, top player, part of Klopp's amazing Liverpool team. Number 4, I got Hazard. So perhaps a little bit low, but it is a mad list in my opinion. Like we've got some absolute ballers in this list. So, still respectable for him. I think Hazard was one of the kind of He was the best player in this league, or maybe top 2 for a good 3-4 years.
Agreed.
Fantastic player to watch. Probably one of the best on this list. His dribbling, his general just production of football around him was just beautiful to see. Number 3, I've got Bale. As you said, yeah. And I'm prepared to argue it, bro. But number 3, I've got Bale. Yeah, I feel like Bale was an absolutely amazing player. Maybe he didn't get into my top 2 just because I think that, because I got number 3, I got Bale. Number 2, I got Salah.
Okay.
And the reason why I've got Salah ahead of Bale is, yes, I think Bale's peak in the Premier League was better than Salah's.
Okay.
I feel like, especially that season where he won his second PFA just before he left, I thought he looked absolutely ridiculous. Like, he did look unstoppable. I don't think Salah's ever looked as unstoppable as he has in that season. But I just feel like, in terms of greatness in the league, and when you're doing the all-time list, I think like Premier League legacy has to play a factor. And I just think about what Salah's done since he came into this league in 2017 till now. The returns on goals and the consistencies, even when Liverpool have dropped off.
Chelsea.
Okay, yeah, Chelsea. Yeah. Chelsea factors in, but he was a kid. But even to come back, to come back into the league after that, and from 2017 till now, since he's been at Liverpool, to be that consistently amazing in this league, even when, you know, he's gone through times where Liverpool haven't done as well as they have, but he still gets his return. He still does his job. I just got it just ahead of Bale, because I just think in terms of legacy, he's ahead. So I've got Bale number 3. I've got Salah number 2 for that very reason, for that greatness that we've seen. Goals, assists, nearly every single game. Like, he's so decisive in that final third.
I agree.
And number 1, I've got Ronaldo for a similar reason to you. I think Ronaldo is just... he's got an argument as the greatest ever player in this league. I think Henry just does pip it, but just because of, again, longevity. But yeah, I feel like Ronaldo had the best season we've seen in this league. I think he's the last Ballon d'Or winner to play in this league. Yeah. He was an absolute sensation. And it's an honour that the Premier League developed such a talent. I think he does have to come in number 1. I think what we were seeing from Ronaldo, you just could never ask more from a footballer. That 31-goal season that he had... It was crazy, man. Right foot, left foot, dribbling, chops, free kicks. You're like, he was playing and you were just thinking, like, bro, is he...
It's the level of skill. The level of skill he used to use, it was skill with purpose. It wasn't just rubbish.
Yeah.
Like we see a lot of players nowadays, they're doing skill and there's no end product. He's doing skills to get past players and he's also delivering at the end. It's not just pointless skills. Yeah. He's honestly one of the best.
The way he was playing in that time, it's like when it was like a men against boys. Yeah, it's like, you know, when you if you see if you got like a semi-pro footballer to play with like a bunch of 11-year-olds, or when you see the pro ballers, like they play about with the 11-year-olds. That's what it was feeling like. He could just do what he wanted
whenever he wanted.
So yeah, no, absolute.
He played on both sides as well, which I think is an underrated quality. I feel like a lot of wingers now can't play on both sides. One of my favorite players, Rashford, he always says how he doesn't like playing on the right side. I feel like Mourinho's even said why Rashford can't play on the right side. Obviously, the angles are all different. He feels different playing there, but a lot of wingers now can only play on one side.
Yeah, it's a new thing. This thing that wingers can't play. Like back in the day, we were spoilt by wingers that could play either side. Like you think about Giggs as well. Giggs could play left. Giggs could play right. Yep. A lot of wingers, top wingers, could play either wing. Nani could play both. Yep. I remember you had him. United had a lot of the top wingers in the league,
and that's why we were so good. I feel like United need to go back to basics in that aspect in terms of going back to the high level that we were. If you get good wingers that consistently beat their man, you're going to create chances every game. It's what Arsenal do. Arsenal have got 2 good wingers, one on each side, that consistently beat their man and put crosses and create chances in the box. Yeah, that's how you win games. That's how you're good.
Yeah, I feel like United had a good winning formula that they just decided to ditch, which they probably should have just stayed by and just kind of kept that identity. But obviously, you guys have got owners who don't know what they're doing, who look like they're here to stay now in some capacity. So
see, yesterday
that's even a bit of a... Any thoughts on that actually?
That was going to be one of the Rondo. Okay. That was honestly yesterday. I don't know. Well, I think it should be for all United fans, not just me. That is one of the worst days of my... Yesterday was one of the worst days of my life. Like, it literally shattered me. I said in the group chat, I'm shattered by the news that I saw.
Really? You think it's that? I think it's that damning for United.
I think that this is as bad as... I don't even know what to compare this to. It's apocalyptic. I think we're going to be plunged into a future now where there's so much uncertainty. We haven't got a clue what's coming. We had somebody that was coming in that was going to clear all the debt that the Glazers have just kept and increased. So that's the first thing. Improve the infrastructure and the city. So improve everybody's well-being around Manchester United and bring back sort of a feel-good factor happiness to be at the club, whilst also investing. But then, in addition to that, because of the knowledge that those owners would have had, they'd bring in the best in class in terms of from the footballing aspect, the best in class everywhere, and then hopefully that would have boosted United back to where we deserve to be, which is competing with the likes of Manchester City, who have gone leaps and bounds ahead of us now. So it's sad to say, but I hope all United fans know that yesterday was a deadly, deadly day.
So you're not feeling this Ratcliffe 25%.
I also blame him partly for what has happened, because he wanted part or a stake or a share in whatever in United. That gave the Glazers another option. If the Glazers had only one option and all United fans were gearing towards this, which was Sheikh Jassim, I feel like the process would have been way more smooth, and we would have got what we wanted in the end. But because Sir Jim Ratcliffe has asked for whatever he's asked for, 25%. I haven't read into
this. Yes, 25%, I think.
But I feel like that has been to our detriment as
Don't you think, though, that there is like some positive in this, that United doesn't become like a sports washing vehicle like we've seen City become and PSG become? Because I feel like the Glazers have been awful to United, but I feel like United is a club. It doesn't need to become that. Like United is a club that should be self-sufficient if it's run properly. Like it generates enough money, and it can be more of a, like, rather than be like something like a club that's kind of attached to a state and always becomes more of a sport washing vehicle. It's actually like a more of an organic, proper club, like, you know, kind of like Bayern are and like Madrid are. So do you feel like there's some element of that which is somewhat of a positive? Ratcliffe is also British as well, like, so and he doesn't have the money to do what the Qatar guy. So he's probably going to try and, you know, re-establish that sort of model into United.
So I do agree with that. A club like United, and as big as United, like the institution of Manchester United, is big enough to be self-sustainable. You don't necessarily need a heavy amount of investment to continue doing what we should be doing. We should be at the top in every aspect.
Yeah.
That's on the pitch, that's outside, that's on the training ground. My problem is that we are so far behind now. We needed that level of boost or injection and investment. Yeah. So because we were so far behind, Manchester City have 2 world-class players in every position across the pitch, arguably. Or they have players of a high level everywhere. And they also have an excellent academy that is bringing through the likes of Foden, Lewis. They're bringing through these players. Not that United aren't, because we are bringing through a few players which I do think are good. Yeah. But I'm saying in terms of the high level and the quality of the first 11 and the second 11 of Manchester City,
it's leaps and bounds.
If you compare that to Manchester United, it's literally night and day. Yeah. Not just that.
Their second 11 will probably give you a run of.
I think their second 11 beats us, which is Etihad, which is
they wouldn't beat you at OT.
That is still. Have you seen how bad we've been at Old Trafford this year? Like that is questionable.
To be fair, yeah,
that is questionable as well. So I've thought about Manchester City and their progression, not just on the pitch. If you look at what Manchester City have done in terms of their infrastructure, their training facilities, and what they've done for the Manchester City, their community within that area, it is outrageous. They've developed so much so quickly, and now so City have now got to the point where they can also be almost self-sustainable.
Self-sustainable, yeah.
They don't need the heavy investment.
They don't spend a lot of money anymore, yeah.
They don't need the heavy investment from their owners anymore. Which is why we needed that massive injection to get us back to the level.
Because the Glazers have done so much evil.
They've done irreparable damage to the
Don't you think it's crazy that they put so much debt within the club and we're taking dividends out?
I think it's crazy, but
I've just never even heard of that at a top club before.
It never happens. But if you were a millionaire, they're just acting in. So once again, I get onto the Glazers, but they're just acting in their own best interests. If you're a businessman and you have a cash cow that's making you X amount of money, why would you ever get rid of it? You wouldn't. Which is why we needed Qatar. So we needed them so bad. Yeah. I honestly think yesterday is one of the worst days as a United fan and as a United man. That's one of the worst days of my life. That ruined my weekend, by the way.
No, so sorry to hear that. Well, not really. As a
Liverpool fan, this is probably good news.
It was beautiful. But to be fair, the thing is though, it gets kind of sad because even as a Liverpool fan, like I love the Liverpool United rivalry, innit? And I feel like in my lifetime, I've never had, apart from one season, I think it was the Benitez Fergie season.
Both of us.
08, 09, both going at it for the title. Yeah. And like, I don't know what it was, but like in the end, Liverpool came up short, and you know, they fueled a lot of hate for United. But even still, like, I enjoyed that title race so much because, like, the hate that was flowing through your body, it's a different breed. It's a different breed. Like going head to head with City for titles, it don't slap the same.
It's not the same
as going head to head for United. So it is like a bit of a shame that you're actually this poor. Like I've enjoyed seeing you be piss poor for so long, but it would be so nice to see United and Liverpool kind of go at it right at the top of the title because we're the two biggest clubs in the country with the biggest history, and You know, we should be having games right at the top of the tower on that sort of El Clasico level.
That's exactly what it should be. And I always feel like an indictment on your club is, as a fan, I'm supposed to just enjoy what I'm seeing on the pitch. We're supposed to be performing at a level that is of a high level. I'm seeing us do well, even if we're not necessarily winning. I want to see us doing well every week, and I want to know that my club is run well. I feel like there's always a problem where the fan base knows everybody in the hierarchy and what they're doing wrong. For example, when Arsenal were doing extremely badly, everybody knew who was in every tier of Arsenal. I know, but I'm a United fan. Ivan Gazidis, Chips Keswick. I know all of their names because Arsenal fans had to do the research because they wanted to find out why their club
who
being
is
run.
Responsible.
Who is responsible for the madness? Yeah. Likewise, right now, before it was Woodward, Richard Arnold. There's guys at United that are not footballing men. Obviously, I think Woodward's gone now, but Richard Arnold. Like, there's guys at United from time that I know their names. I should just be enjoying the footballing aspect and the community aspects of Manchester United. I shouldn't know what the Glazers are doing and how badly they've been performing for X amount of years.
Everyone knows Ed Woodward. Everyone knows Richard Arnold. Everyone knew the Kroenkes and Gazidis and all those people. Who knows City's director of football?
I don't know anything going on at City.
Director of football.
I don't know a thing about Manchester City.
Because he just does his job.
They do what they're doing. And it's like in every occupation, not just football. When you're doing your job, people aren't going to question you. If you're doing what is right, people don't even necessarily need to know who it is that's doing what is right. As long as it's getting done, that's the main thing. That's the bottom line. 100%. When people know your name, you've done something wrong.
Say nothing. All right, we've got to move on to worst players now. Yeah, I'm gonna mention a couple of names to get the conversation going. So Dia. I don't know if
he's the funniest.
Yeah, that's the guy who just straight up lied like he's not even a pro footballer.
That could be me or you.
Get 53 minutes.
That could be me or you,
bro. It could be me or you, bro. He was that level. So I mean, to be honest, he's probably going to be number one, right?
Okay,
but yeah, then we got Titus Bramble,
the own goal man.
Danny Ward, Manone. I've got a couple more here. What else have we got? Andre Santos at Arsenal.
Wow.
Marcus has put in Cuadrado. We've got Musa at Leicester.
Ahmed Musa.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think that's harsh on him, man. He was all right.
I think it is harsh on him, but
yeah. So that's who we've got so far. Obertan.
I've got another one that I didn't put in the chat. Jadon Sancho is up there
as top 5 worst in PL history.
Premier League history.
You're dragging it, man.
No,
You think Jadon Sancho is a contender for top 5 worst in PL history?
Not in terms of his quality. He's clearly good.
Yeah.
His performances on the pitch every time he's come on have been subpar. If you look at what he's done every time he's come on the pitch, for majority of the games that he plays, he's not what he should be.
Yeah.
And considering what
he was before, I would put him in the top 5 transfer flop list.
But what does that mean though? That means he's just been performing badly for the price that he is. Which means that he's not good. That means he's not good for the price that he is.
Yeah. To be fair, in our criteria for worst, I said so our criteria for worst, disappointment levels also factors into it on top of being just rubbish.
And disappointment, I feel like disappointment in Sancho is the thing that drives me more. Is the thing that is the driving force behind why I think he's one of the worst players in the Premier League era.
I'm not having Sancho in it, but I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, no, obviously, from a quality perspective, from what he can actually do with football, he's clearly not the worst. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying in terms of delivering on the pitch and his performances since he came to United from what he was before, he's definitely one of the worst in Premier League history.
Transfer flops, I would say. Transfer flops. He's one of the top 5 worst transfer flops. I feel like I'm putting him in the top 5 worst. Bro, the Titus Bramble and Dia are in this list, bro.
I know, I'm well aware. Dia's the guy that lied. Dia's the man that lied to Graham Souness. So yeah, he's up there. But cool. Sancho is also there for me.
So number 1, we agreed on Dia. Have you got a top 5?
I do, and Sancho's in there.
All right, so tell me your top 5.
Titus Bramble's there. Dia is there and Sancho is there. Those are the 3 that I wanted to speak about. But
okay,
that's the only 3.
Okay, anyone? Could we add? I think Manone was terrible.
Manone,
he's that keeper for Sunderland.
He was horrible.
He couldn't save. He was like League 2 standard. Well, and then we got Danny Ward, the keeper last year at Leicester.
He was really bad.
He was bad.
He was very, very bad.
And then Tony Hibbert,
Everton legend.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, to be fair, he did his job, so I don't think we should do him like that.
Yeah, I think Tony Hibbert was just an average. He was just an average player. He wasn't anything special.
Yeah.
Tony Hibbert is harsh.
Should you say
Obertan was really bad.
Obertan's surely worse than Sancho, man.
He is. He definitely is. because he was signed to almost replace. I'm pretty sure he was signed to replace Ronaldo, right? We sold Ronaldo.
Yeah, you sold Ronaldo and you bought Obertan.
So in terms of disappointment, once again he's up there because if you're signed to replace,
you guys have had a couple.
Yeah, Bebe was horrendous. But yeah, Obertan though, that guy. I think because he was bold as well, that's what annoyed me a bit more. Like if you're gonna be dead, at least have hair.
True. Let's try and do like a little top three. I feel like top five is a bit hard, but like
Dia's number one.
Dia's number one.
He's number one.
I mean, Dia straight up lied about being a professional footballer. What did he say, that he was George Weah's cousin?
It's crazy.
Or something like that. Managed to trick Souness into
God.
getting 53 minutes in the Premier League. I can't believe it. I should try and run his thing.
Bro.
But I'm so happy that guy wasn't Nigerian because we didn't hear the last of it. I'm so happy that guy wasn't Nigerian, man. Nah. That would have been so peak, man. Yeah, I'll go Dia number one. Number two, I'll go... Titus Bramble was bad, man.
He was a known goal man.
That his stint at Newcastle was bad.
It was really bad.
Does he deserve number two?
I think he does. He was really bad though.
Yeah.
Where was he before Newcastle?
Wigan.
He
actually did pretty well at Wigan. And then you got the move to Newcastle. I think what it was with Titus Bramble is, I think, like, he can actually play ball. But then he like once he I don't think I think he has brain farts. He has brain farts. Like once his concentration goes, he stops being able to play football and he'll just be terrible until you basically get him off the pitch. So I'll put Titus Bramble number two. It feels harsh, and then what number three we'll give to Obertan.
Obertan was really bad,
because of the disappointment levels.
But then why can't we put Sancho in there?
I can't put Sancho in there, man. I feel like that's harsh, man.
It's harsh, but
like I feel like Obertan never really did anything good. Like Sanchez has done, at least like he's had good games for United, right?
Yes. Notably against Liverpool. So that was one of them.
He had a good game against Liverpool first.
But how many more can you name? He's been
we're going to talk about this Rondo though, or Sancho, because the level of that, you're going to have to do a Rondo on that.
Honestly,
but I'm going to put Obertan number three. So I was going to So our top three is Dia. Number two is Titus Bramble, and number three is Obertan.
Yeah, that seems like a good list.
That's a good top three.
There's probably worse. There's probably way worse. Obviously,
special mentions to Manone, special mentions to Danny Ward, special mentions to Tony Hibbert. My gosh, yeah, we've had some stiff ballers in this league. Cool. All right, Rondos or knots? Who's trying to? Do you want to do that Sancho one then?
Sancho one.
Cool. Let's go.
My word, man, Sancho.
So yeah, I mean, some big comments on Sancho, bro. Like to call him, we got like a. Is that the?
What's this? The bib.
The bib, yeah. Just checking over. Right. So to call Sancho, you're calling Sancho one of the worst players. So let's go. You're saying he's one of the worst transfers in Premier League history.
Yeah, I think it's not even a debate at this point. The amount of things that the things that he's done since he's been at United, if that is any other player, most people are more annoyed with him. I think so. Let's take him from Dortmund. He's on a world-class level, basically. Yeah, goals and assists every game. I saw a statistic the other day. His percentage of goals and assists per game was up there with players, unspeakable, like Messi. He was up there with Messi. His goals and assists per game at Dortmund. He was up there with players that you wouldn't even. If you look at him now, his progression from now to then when he was really good at Dortmund, it is more than night and day.
Yeah.
But in terms of disappointment levels, he's a brother from Ends. He's taken the plunge, gone to Germany where most other men aren't doing that.
Yeah.
He's completely out of his comfort zone and he's there concentrating on football. He's turned out to be one of the best that we've seen whilst he was at Dortmund. He's skillful. He was quick enough. He was getting past his players in Dortmund. And he was creating and scoring consistently at a high level. And the chance creation and decision making is what sold it for me. Like I saw him, he'd get into positions and where players that don't have the level of IQ that he has, they'd make the wrong decision.
Always make the right decision.
He's always making the correct decision. And that was when he was at Dortmund, right? When he first came to United, I realized quickly that he was painfully slow, or slower than I expected, because he couldn't beat his man, which is the thing. We spoke about that earlier. But
sometimes you look at him and it looks like he has a little burst.
In pre-season, he looked like he had a burst again. But then once again, when we got back to the Premier League, it looks like he's lost whatever drive he had. He's lost. Like that pace has gone. So yeah, it became painfully clear that he didn't have as much speed as we thought. So he can't necessarily beat his man like other wingers can. That's my first issue. But then I thought what could save him is his intelligence level is so high, he'll still be able to create chances in a good system. Obviously, that could be an indictment on United as well.
Yeah.
We haven't had a stable system for him to play in. But sometimes it has to be on you as the player. You're on 350 bags a week, and you've come in with world-class status. You've literally come to the club with numbers that rival the best players in the world.
Yeah.
You've come to this club and you've done nothing. You've done maybe 0.1% of your maximum whilst being at the club since you've been here. And that is why that's where my disappointment lands in Sancho. And that is why I say he's one of the top 5 worst signings ever.
Worst signings ever.
Yeah.
You were even saying he's a contender for top 5 worst players.
Yeah. And that isn't from a quality perspective. I've never wanted someone to succeed more, by the way. I'll just put that out there.
Yeah.
He's a brother from Ends. He's come from Ends. He plays football the way man are playing in cages when you're young. Yeah. You're ripping people, but he's doing it at the highest level. So he's doing it to players that actually know what they're doing. He's ripping defenders that are of a good level and consistently scoring and assisting. He's doing what every brother from Ends wanted to do, which is play football in a skillful, fun way.
Yeah.
He's come to Manchester United, the team I support. So I already liked him before he'd come to United. He's come to United now, and I have such high expectations of the guy. I genuinely thought he was going to turn into a world beater. Like he'd be unreal on both wings. So we spoke about how players can't play on both wings. He can play. He's actually one of the players that can play on both wings.
Well, it seems so. Now he's telling us he can't play.
Now he's telling us he can't. So once again, what has happened to him from Dortmund to now? And that is why he's one of the worst signings, worst players that I've seen in the league. And it hurts more because he plays for United.
First. Damn. No, fair enough. A good Rondo. I don't have much arguments, really. I wouldn't call him the top 5 worst, though, but I can see why he definitely be top 5 worst transfers. I mean, the money spent, the expectation, the wages, he's completely effed it.
And if you think about what he's even doing currently, it's a sad indictment on him. It's also the state of my club, which is just United. Being a United fan right now is painfully hard, but I always love the club. It was a small thing said by my manager about him not putting in the maximum effort in training has now been blown to the proportion where he's not even in our matchday squads and he's not playing and he's not training with the first team.
It's just like, just apologise and just get it over with.
Just apologise.
Just be a grown man about it, really.
Be a team player and know your place within the squad. How can you complain about another man getting chosen over you if you're not putting in the maximum effort and showing people on the pitch? I always feel like actions speak louder than words.
Yep.
If you're performing on a weekly basis, even if you're not getting chosen, if you keep on performing, you think people are not seeing that. Your manager is seeing that. Eventually, you are going to get your chance. If he just waited and not had this little outburst when Anthony's gone and whatever he's gone on, the sabbatical he went on and now he's come back, he would have got a couple of games and maybe proved why he should have been starting those games. Instead, he bugged out. He's not apologising. And look where he is now.
Fair enough. Cool, man. Moving forward, I got a little one. It's just basically, I'm going to double down on my Beckham not being generational statement.
I'm so happy I'm here for this one. Yeah, go.
So, say nothing. Let me get the bib on.
Take this off.
This one's a bit small, actually.
I should have put it on, though.
Deep. Let's do it for the next one, bro. Hey, tight fit. Yeah, anyway. So, I'm here to double down that I don't think Beckham was generational. And obviously that was a little bit of a controversial statement. You know, lots of people in the comments weren't too happy, particularly one. Yeah, you with them, and particularly one, Rio Ferdinand, managed to piss off one of the best centre-backs of all time. But I'm here to say that, it's true. And you guys were all wrong. I feel like, including Rio Ferdinand, I feel like a lot of people who kind of saw that snippet of what I said didn't really understand what I meant by generational in that context. And I feel like the word generational is thrown around a lot and it's not really used correctly.
Yeah.
So for me, there's generational talents and there's generational players. Yeah.
Okay.
And what does the word generational imply? Like this is a once in a generation talent or player. So if you're a once in a generation talent, you're doing stuff that, you know, a young player should never be doing. You've got like the whole world like at your feet in terms of what you're showing and how you're performing. And in my viewpoint, being a generational player, you've got to be like an all-time great in your position. Because that means once in a generation, we're seeing a player like this. Now, I feel like we've got different buckets of players, right? We've got players who were generational players but weren't generational talents. So guys like Salah, guys like Modric, you know, they came onto the scene they weren't generational talents.
They weren't
They kind of like peaked later on in their career.
Yeah.
Then you've got like the freaks, like your Rooneys,
Yep.
your Messis, your Ronaldos,
Your Beckhams.
No, I don't think Beckham is in this set. I'm going to share that. I don't think Beckham is in this. These are guys who are generational talents and went through and also became generational players. For me, I've got Beckham in that generational talent that didn't become a generational player pocket.
Why?
Because with like Owen and guys like that. Because for me, I feel like Beckham was a generational talent early days at Manchester United. Like I feel like when he was young, first coming onto the scene, like what he was doing with the football was kind of unheard of. Like he has an absolute wonder of a right foot and he's a great player. I feel like it all peaked in that treble season when he was about 23, I think he was.
Second Ballon d'Or.
And he came second in the Ballon d'Or, and like fair enough, it's fully fair play to him. He deserved it. But I just feel like as a player going on after that, I don't think he was generational. I don't think so. I think he was playing at a world-class level. At the end of the day, he was sold by Manchester United, you know.
Yeah.
And I think it was because he wasn't dynamic enough. For me, Beckham in his prime, I feel like we all thought from his young days, he was just going to really kick on and not just be a moments player, but I feel like he stayed being a bit of a moments player. Like I feel like when I was watching Beckham in his prime, he wasn't a player who runs the game like you would expect from a generational winger. It's kind of like mad cross out of nowhere, mad pass out of nowhere, a set piece, which is just, you know, absolutely out of this world, but just doesn't have that consistent impact on the game. And I said, like, at the end of the day, he was sold by United in his prime. At Madrid as well, he was good. But he wasn't, like a lot of people at Madrid were a little bit disappointed. A lot of Madrid fans were a little bit disappointed. And I feel like there's like various reasons for that. But for me, he wasn't generational. He would have stuck out as one of Madrid's best players if that was the case. I feel like he just kind of slotted in at Madrid and just did a job really. So for me, can't be seen as a generational player, bro. There's a lot of other wingers. We just did the top 5 PL winger list. He wasn't in yours.
He
wasn't in mine.
That's not.
Why didn't he make it then?
That's not an indictment on him though. The players I mentioned are just better than him.
Those are generational players for me. That's the crop of generational.
And it's also similar to when. So you're saying he was sold in his prime to Madrid, and obviously he didn't stand out when he was there.
Yeah,
it's very difficult to stand out when there's 6 players that are as good, if not better than you.
Do you know what those guys were? Generational players, bro.
As was he. He just wasn't as good as them.
Nah, he wasn't, man.
He just wasn't. You could be generational and not be as good.
If you want to be generational, you're gonna do your thing, bro. Regardless.
Is Trent generational?
I think he was a generational talent. I'm not sure he's gonna become a generational player.
Okay, that's a fair point.
I feel like his defensive frailties
it's too much.
It's too much.
Yeah.
We all thought, and that's the thing. He's another one.
I thought he'd improve.
We all thought the defending would improve.
Yeah.
And we were all like, this is a generational talent. Once the defending improved, we dread to imagine how good it was.
Yeah.
And it hasn't really. So until he does that consistently, maybe he'll do it. I still feel like Trent's got the ability. I mean, I'll never give up on him. I'm a Liverpool fan. But yeah, at the moment he's not. I think he's world class though. Still, I don't care. I think his offensive work is that good.
So was Beckham world class?
Beckham was world class.
Okay.
Definitely. Beckham was world class.
I just want to make sure before I.
No, man rates Beckham. I feel like that's why people were mad getting upset. I rate Beckham. Just generational player for me. That's that, bro. That's that mad cream of the crop.
I think he was that. I'll explain why. I just feel like, so from a generational talent perspective, where you're saying when you're young and you're touted as being one of the best in the country or the best in your position, he was definitely that. You don't get plucked from East London and go to Manchester and you're fucking up the league from there.
Yeah, 100%.
So cool. So clearly the generational talent thing, he's definitely that. Moving on in terms of his career. He helped United win a treble, which is the first thing, which is outrageous. At your age, playing most of the games in the league whilst contributing heavily to winning a treble is insane. So even then, if he'd ended his career there, he's good. He didn't have to do anything else.
Yeah.
At whatever age he is, he could end his career and be fine.
Yeah, he could have ended his career at 23.
Continuing on now, you don't go from United to Real Madrid. Like literally, it's the career progression of Cristiano Ronaldo that we're speaking about. But this is before. He went from...
He was sold by United though. Obviously, he was then bought by Madrid, which shows the type of player he is.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that, but he was sold by United.
Of course, but that was probably because of, Passo behind the scenes. Fergie's, you get me. Fergie was a bit of a
dictator, a crazy dictator.
I wouldn't call it that. I'd call it being the captain of your ship. You know what's right and what's wrong, and then as soon as anybody comes out of line, you make sure that they're back in.
No, it worked.
If not, you go. But you don't go from East London, you get scouted, you go to Manchester United and you play for X amount of years, you win a treble, then you go to Madrid and you continue winning whilst you're there. It wasn't like he was crap whilst he was there. Yeah. But even from a footballing perspective, I feel like a lot of players now, for example, there's a lot of memes that go around, De Bruyne has looked up, swing the ball into the box. He doesn't even know if anyone's there. He's just expecting someone to be there. Beckham, I've never seen anyone like in terms of talent-wise like Beckham. He was able to put the ball on someone's left foot or their right foot or their head, their chest, whatever was the most comfortable place for them to control the ball. He would put the ball right there. It doesn't matter the distance or how long it is. From a technical perspective, that is talent that you cannot teach.
No,
Hence, he is that is generational in every sense. That you cannot teach that. It's like, for example, Paul Scholes. From a technical aspect, there's some stuff that you can never teach footballers.
But don't you think so? Like when you so let's compare Paul Scholes and David Beckham. Yeah, I feel like Paul Scholes in his prime, he used to run football matches
because it's easier to do that from centre midfield.
It's easier to do that from centre midfield. Yeah,
Beckham is doing all of that from the right side.
Yeah,
I think it's more difficult for you to control and dictate games.
More consistent.
That might be the case, but the main crux of the point is the technical ability on the ball is something that you cannot. So
would you say Beckham and Paul Scholes the same level?
No, Scholes is better. Scholes was better.
Yeah. Would you say Scholes is actually a level above them from Beckham?
Yeah. Yeah, he was.
Well, then there you go.
But
Paul
there's
Scholes
levels
is in that
to
generational character. No, I don't think so.
There has to be because
there is levels to it, but it's like GOAT. After you're generational, it's GOAT. like are you the GOAT? That's it. After generational, like are you the GOAT? Okay. Once you're talking, and I feel like Paul Scholes is in that category. When we're talking about best centre midfielders of all time in the Premier League, Paul Scholes is one of the first names on the list.
He is.
I don't think Beckham's that for wide players, and I feel like there's a reason for that.
But there's also a reason. But the reason for that as well also is because wide players have changed throughout the years. Wide players now are more inside forwards than they are actual out and out wingers. Whereas back in the day, he's playing right midfield.
Yep.
Players are now playing right wing or right forward. Like they're literally playing as inverted strikers or on the wing. Beckham wasn't the guy that's going to run and cut inside and out you and then rip you and then swing the ball.
No,
he wasn't doing that.
He's a passer.
He was playing basically centre mid from right midfield and picking out passes and assists. Genuinely, I don't... So players now, we talk about players now, for example, Trent. My man, he's very good on the ball. His crossing ability is insane. It doesn't come close technically to Beckham. Like,
I'm not having that.
No, why aren't you having it?
I don't think it does. When you say it doesn't come close,
I think it doesn't come close.
It does.
Genuinely, the ability on the ball. Close. I don't think it's close.
I think it's close. I think Trent's right foot is that good. He plays right back.
Trent's right foot is very good.
You've seen some of the passes from that guy.
I agree, but
I literally think he's like his right foot is. I feel like it's. I don't know, somehow like David Beckham.
What, related?
Yeah, I feel like there's a related. Like when I saw Trent like first time, I was like
you can't.
He's David Beckham.
Yeah. It is insane. Now, when I say not close, that is once again, it's not an indictment on Trent. He is like on the ball, his ability is next to none. I just think Beckham was a class above, and then obviously there's players like Scholes that I think are just a class above that. But I also think what is to Beckham's detriment is how big he was globally. I feel like people just diminish the talent levels and what he was doing in a footballing aspect because of how big he got globally. He became more of a celebrity than he did a footballer, which is ultimately why people say that he's not world class. I even hear people saying he's not world class. Like,
I hear that, and I disagree with that completely.
But generational though, from a generational standpoint, getting plucked out of East London and going to the Manchester United Academy and then fucking up the league for multiple years.
That's why he's a generational talent.
Yeah, and then then going to Real Madrid and
being just good at Madrid. Is Di Maria generational? That's what Beckham. No, he's not. Don't even tell. I know you overrate Di Maria.
Is Di Maria a generational talent? He's not a generational talent. I wouldn't say that.
No, he's not even a generational talent or player. He's neither.
Di Maria?
Yes, he's neither.
Okay.
And Beckham was on a Di Maria thing at Madrid.
What? That is outrageous.
He was that sort of level at Madrid. He was like the sidekick. In terms of performances, in terms of stardom, he was the most famous out of the whole team.
He's definitely number one.
But in terms of in the team, he was the sidekick, bro.
So who? Okay, if Salah went to Madrid right now, would he be a sidekick?
Salah went to
if Salah went to Madrid during the Galactic, so when Arnan was there, and Roberto Carlos, Figo, would Salah be a sidekick?
No.
Yes, he would.
No, he wouldn't.
Yes, he absolutely would.
Do you know what Salah would? Salah would be bagging in goals.
And why is that? Because they've changed the role of the right winger. So you're saying Salah would score and get assists, right, from that position? It's because they've changed because they've changed the role of the winger. It's no longer the right midfielder, it's now the right winger.
Yeah, but if Salah played back in those days, he play up top and he get goals. People would be rating him because he's getting goals.
How would he play up top when R9 is there?
Play with R9 probably.
There's no Salah doesn't get into that. If you're saying
You used to play with R9 back then.
it doesn't matter. Probably Raul. I think it was Raul. There is no reality.
Raul, that's long.
There's no reality where Salah gets into that. And once again, that's what I'm saying. Because they changed the role of the right winger is why you're saying you think Salah could even get in. Beckham was so unbelievable. He's playing with these man that you're saying that Salah can't get in with. He's playing with them.
Yeah, well, Salah's better than Beckham, so he's getting in. He's probably getting that right mid. He's getting in the team.
Salah's not a right midfielder. He wouldn't be able to
do a job there. We've seen Salah's creative package now playing high and wide.
But it's nothing compared to Beckham.
No, it's nothing compared to Beckham's now. So but he can score more goals, even from right mid.
United fans, I've tried in it. I've tried in it. I've tried to back
that team was actually when you say that team was actually mad.
It's insane. Like
it was a mad stacked Madrid team.
Most players are going there and becoming Nando's like side dishes. Like man are just going there and becoming average players. Yeah. I still think Beckham. For all purposes, he still stood out relatively in comparison to this, bro. There's players in that team that nobody even remembers.
He was good, bro. He wasn't he didn't stand out like that. He was good. Okay. You can ask Madrid fans. No Madrid fans saying, "Oh, Beckham was like a mad guy in that team." But like, when you actually deep the team, it was nuts. Still,
it was crazy.
But a lot of guys came in and out of it during Beckham's time. Like Figo left after a couple of years. R9 got a lot of injuries, so I feel like he did have time to maybe take the reins
and establish himself.
Yeah. But cool.
Yeah, maybe in that sense.
I've got one more in it. This is one that will make you happy. So obviously last week, it's a positive one for United. So obviously last week, Marcus came and put a lot of disrespect on a certain Michael Carrick's name. Jesus. And I thought he did too much in it. Like I was there, like siding with it because obviously I'm a Liverpool fan and I hate United. So it was funny to see. But then when he just started going into him, like say Carrick was just an average footballer and like. Barely even good. Like he said, like Carrick and Wes Brown were like always the worst players on the pitch. I was absolutely baffled. I think Carrick is a very misunderstood footballer. And I was talking to Jane in our GC, and one viewpoint of mine is I think like Carrick was almost just like he was born in the wrong era. I think if Carrick was to play for Man City and be coached by,
he'd be better than Rodri, in my opinion. That might be crazy to people, but that's just what I'll say that. You can continue.
I was about to say he'd be same level as Rodri for the Rondo switching. Yeah. Now you're gonna
No, but I hear it though. So you saying he's the same level makes a lot of sense because you can see what I can see.
Yeah, I can see he'd be the same level. But to say that he'd be better than Rodri,
I
think it's got to go back to you, bro. You got to explain to me why. If Carrick played for Man City, he'd be better than Rodri.
I just think from a footballing IQ
and hold the bib. I'm taking off the bib. It's not on me. I was about to put on the bib because I was about to say it's good. Man said he'd be better than Rodri.
No. This is your Rondo or not though? You have to. Yeah, this.
I'll come in. But you gotta explain to me how he'd be better than Rodri. Why would he be better than Rodri?
So one thing that I loved from Carrick, and I said this in the group chat when people were getting onto him, and I just couldn't believe the level of disrespect. But I understand. I'll say again, United ruined most people's childhood, so I understand all the corn that we get now. I completely understand. Michael Carrick. From a footballing IQ perspective, I've never seen anyone at like a centre midfielder, even so this is even comparing him to Scholes now. I'll compare him to Scholes. Obviously Scholes is way better. I'm not comparing the two, but in terms of passing the ball forward, I've never seen any player, a DM, turn and pass the ball forward as many times as Carrick did. Literally every time he got the ball, if you go through Carrick's highlights, and I know it's a bad thing to watch someone's highlights. I got to watch him while he was still playing. Go through his highlights, the guy was always passing the ball forward.
Yep.
I think it's the level of football intelligence you need to do that is one of the most underrated things in I think in the league, in football in general. For you to receive the ball in centre midfield and pass forward every single time or most of the time you're getting the ball, you basically start every attack, number one. Yeah. Number two, to slap the ball into someone, for them to touch it, turn and progress.
Takes a level of pass appreciation.
It's that kind of appreciation, and that's where I think Michael Carrick would have excelled in any Pep Guardiola team. Yeah,
so I definitely think Michael Carrick would have slotted in a Pep Guardiola team, but why would he be better than Rodri? Because everything you said, Rodri does. That's why Rodri's very good at pass progression, passing forward from that DM position. So what does Carrick have above a Rodri?
So I watch Rodri a lot as well.
Yeah.
And defensively, he's excellent. I think both Carrick. So that's another thing that was very underrated in terms of Carrick's IQ in terms of reading the game and interception and getting the ball is something that was very underrated.
Very good, yeah.
I just think that Carrick would have pushed on and gone another level. So everything is in football is now system based.
Yeah.
Carrick was playing in 4-4-2s, bro. He's controlling midfields from 4-4-2.
Yeah, he wasn't suited to it.
That's not if he was suited to a sole DM and there was workhorses around, like let's say a box to box next to him.
Yeah,
he would be infinitely better than he is now under the coaching of Pep Guardiola.
Yeah.
That's what I personally believe, and I think he would have been better than Rodri. That is my.
But you're still not telling me like what trait goes.
I think they're very similar. So when you said that they're similar, I think they're almost the same. They're almost the same archetype. I just prefer Carrick, obviously from a United perspective.
It's a United bias.
It's a United perspective,
Okay.
but I honestly do believe under the stewardship of Pep Guardiola and playing a lone, like a single DM role, he would have been unreal.
I think he would have been unreal, yeah. And like if he was born in this era, he'd be playing sole DM, and people would be like we have
This
like
is crazy.
This is crazy. We have like a guy from North London who's playing like a Spanish
Like
top
Busquets,
DM.
literally
yeah,
like
Busquets, yeah. Like I think he would be. I can see definitely Rodri level. I think it's your United bias that took him ahead of Rodri. But I think he'd be able to do everything that we see from Rodri in terms of like that ability to pass forward from any angle.
Yep.
That intelligence in defense, even in spite of not maybe being the quickest. I think Carrick would have all of it. I think we saw all of the traits of that. I just think he didn't get to those heights because he was playing in in an era where, being a more, because it's 4-4-2s, being a more dynamic centre mid is what most teams want.
Yep.
So everyone kind of looked past him. And I always said, I feel like England would have done a lot better if Carrick played DM and you just played Gerrard, Lampard, or Scholes as the eights. But all of this trying to fit, we were trying to fit Gerrard, Scholes, and Lampard, who are all eights, into some form of 4-4-2 formation. And if we just said, let's stop it and just play a 4-3-3,
we were not.
The midfields that we could have controlled, the games that we could have controlled, if we played a Carrick, Scholes, Gerrard / Lampard 4-3-3,
it'd be insane.
It would have been nuts. People would have been like, "This is the greatest English team that we've ever had," which it should have been. That was the golden generation, and I think Carrick was the key cog that was disrespected in that era.
He was underutilized to the highest degree. He never got a chance in that team, and it's once again because of the systems that we were playing. We weren't innovative enough, like Spain, like Brazil. Sometimes you just have to take the plunge. If Carrick played with Scholes and Gerrard next to him, that midfield is insane. Even Lampard, it could literally be any permutation you could think of. It could have been any of them. It would have been crazy, and we would have had the maddest level of control,
bro. Like
when you hear other footballers talk about it as well, I feel like Scholes is one of the players that spoke about Carrick, and he said England would have done so much better if they used Carrick more. Why don't these managers listen to some of these players? The players that are world class at the time, Henry as well as another one.
That's what I'm saying. At that time, everything was just, we just want dynamic, just work hard. What's all this? What's tactics? What's all this? And then they don't realize you're losing. So tactics must be important. It's just 4-4-2, want it more, all of this. But someone like Carrick would have been so key. But yeah, no, it's a shame he was underappreciated and it cost England. Yeah, I think
it really did.
I think it did. Any last rondos, bro, before we round up?
I had one more.
I've done two, so you got one. Well, you kind of hijacked mine.
I apologise.
No, that's all right.
I got one more still. It was one of our discussions in the group chat the other day. So we're talking about Yaya Toure and where he stands in terms of Premier League midfielders.
Yeah.
And I think, likewise to Carrick, he is so disrespected in terms of how we talk about the best Premier League midfielders in the league.
And he's kind of always left out.
He's always left out. And I honestly think if I'm building an 11 from scratch, so basically this is the Rondo. If I'm building an 11 from scratch, Yaya Toure is the first midfielder I put in.
Oh, so a Premier League all-time 11.
Yeah, a Premier League all-time 11. Yaya Toure is the first midfielder I put in.
I'm not sure about that because I feel like peak-wise, yeah. But if you're talking about like greatest, I still think it probably goes, because you've got to think about legacy and effect on the league, and longevity comes into it. And I feel like it has to tip towards Gerrard, Scholes, and Lampard.
But this longevity thing, at what point? So how many years is longevity now? Because Yaya Toure did it in our league for 3 years. At least that's at a minimum. Yeah. That's at a minimum. So how many more years would he have to do? Because players like Gerrard,
those guys did it for years.
Yeah, but that's because they were in the league.
And in that time they had really good peaks. Like I'd say Yaya Toure's peak is a bit better, but all three of those guys have seasons which are just like here.
But Yaya Toure's peak is better than, in my opinion. Obviously, this is my opinion. In my opinion, Yaya Toure's peak is the best midfielder I've seen in the league.
Okay, I can hear that. But is it that far off the peaks that we saw from Scholes, Lampard, and Gerrard?
Definitely not. But the fact that he gets so vastly disrespected, and he's not even in these conversations. Every time I see all-time XIs, he's nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, he should be. He should be in it. Like it's mad how like Kevin De Bruyne now is starting to be brought into
pushing in there, but
which I think he definitely deserves. It's mad how like we just kind of went past Yaya Toure. He should definitely be like in some all-time 11s. Like he's just never discussed. It's always Scholes, Gerrard, and Lampard, and it's probably a bit of the English bias coming in because they're gassed to have players that great.
Of that quality,
so they just go straight to them. But I think Yaya Toure should definitely come into the conversation. I feel like sometimes Vieira as well is overlooked. I feel like he should come into conversations more. So I feel like those are two that have kind of been, they just get overlooked when you're talking about all-time Premier League midfielders. And Vieira and Yaya Toure were,
I think,
absolutely different.
Those two, their peaks are up there with any other Premier League midfielder you can think of. They'd struggle against those midfielders.
In their peaks,
they'd struggle
100%.
heavily.
Keane's not always mentioned either. Do you think he should be?
I think he's another one that gets disrespected. People try and label him as a brute. The amount of quality that Roy Keane had on the ball, off the ball, it even annoys me. But once again, I'll say this again.
Why do you think guys disrespect Roy Keane?
We ruined everyone's childhood, so people get onto this. I'll keep saying it because it's partly true. People won't want to admit it, but United did fuck up a lot of people's childhoods. Like, we won everything, and it's not necessarily. I was gonna say it's not our fault, but it definitely is. We were just that good. We were really good. But Roy Keane gets disrespected, I think, because we won everything whilst he was there, and people don't give him his props because they think we were playing with better players. So, for example, Scholes next to him, Scholes is better, in my opinion. Scholes was better than Keane.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
And people would say, "Oh, Scholes was in terms of our midfield, Scholes was doing more." But Roy Keane, there's attributes that a player has that are you can't quantify them. Someone's captaincy and their level of leadership, which is what Roy Keane was displaying every year. He was.
I even feel like footballing wise, he was a baller, bro. Like he used to break up play, run it. Like he was a very good box to box midfielder. He used to score.
There was a year. My brother told me there was a year when he just decided he wanted to score goals, and he just started getting into the box,
chipping in goals. And I feel like people always just act as if he was just like a very functional player.
People try and
didn't really do much. I'm like, bro, this guy was running midfields alongside Scholes. And stuff like that. Like the way that he's just kind of dismissed as a player that was just, and people talk as if he was Darren Fletcher. No disrespect to Darren Fletcher, he's someone I see was more of a functional cog. But Keane was a fantastic player. He was a world-class player. World-class player without a shadow of a doubt. World-class player. Without a shadow of a doubt.
And he's so disrespected. Like his on the ball, what he could do on the ball is so disrespected because people just try and label him as a brute. But he was genuinely insane.
I feel like people often, when we talk about Vieira and Keane, now, Vieira is definitely better than Keane, for me. But I feel like it's close. In fact, I wouldn't say he's definitely better. Vieira is better than Keane, but it's close. But people talk as if it's here. And I don't know. I feel like it's Plantain Twitter doing a bit too much. Like, I'm all for BLM, but let's be serious here. Like, Keane was a baller. Like, there's a reason why Arsenal United would play, have midfield battles, and United would go toe-to-toe. And Keane would win some. Yeah. Like, he can't be a bum, bro. But people talk about as if, they just won the midfield out of magic. Like, Keane just wasn't doing anything. Vieira's just so much of this better of a footballer. Keane could play, bro. He'd be popping it about 2 touch. Like, he's a top player, bro.
He's an excellent player, and hopefully the disrespect to him stops. But I don't think it ever will.
No, it's been enough about United, man. I feel like we're talking about somehow. I don't know what Blackbeard's done, man. He managed to get like the whole agenda just around United, but that's been a great show for you all, man. We'll be back next week when the PL's back. Can't wait, to be honest. I hate
I can wait.
These international breaks. I ain't hearing it, man. Say nothing, guys. See you soon.
I thought United would have won.